Ехе, всем привет, народ, с вами Херон, и сегодня мы продолжаем играть Genshin Impact. И у меня сейчас настроение упало в ноль. Точнее, оно упало в ноль еще 4 дня назад. Но я так и быть, я нашел себе силы продолжать играть Genshin. Я смирился со своей судьбой. Я смирился с тем, что лисичку я хрен получу. А все почему, да? Почему же? Потому что вот оно, блядь. Вот, блядь, это исчадие ада, которое выпало мне, блядь, на мою голову. Бесполезно. Сука. Ладно, вообще Кицин выпало. Ладно, Дилюк, Джин, блядь. Хотя бы Цицин, ну ёб вашу мать. Нет, мне выпало вот это, блядь. Волна. Сейчас только песен не хватает, там где поется. Я волна. Какая-то там хуйня. Ну ладно. Просто я не знаю. Это просто капец. Она выпала мне 60-й крутки. И вместе с ней еще 4 или 5 4-звездочных сразу.
This is the kind of place where the big shots of Inazuma live, huh? Paimon kinda expected it to be snazzier.
Welcome at last to the Kamisato residence, honored guests. Miss Kamisato is delighted to finally meet you.
Is this the Shirasage Himegimi you keep going on about? So, where's she at? Behind the screen?
Yes. As the daughter of the Yashiro Commission, this is how Miss Kamisato is accustomed to receiving guests. Consider it a time-honored tradition within the Yashiro Commission. Forgive me if this is an unwelcome surprise.
Makes sense. She's a super important person after all.
Please forgive my lack of courtesy for receiving you in this fashion, especially following such a long and wearisome journey over the sea. I have awaited your arrival with great anticipation, and Toma assures me that you do indeed possess the power to change the tide of the times. At present in Inazuma, in the name of the Vision Hunt Decree, the people's aspirations are being senselessly trampled underfoot. Though the Yashiro Commission serves the Shogun, it is the people with whom we share close bonds, given the contact we are required to have with them in the performance of our duties. A commission's power rises and falls with the trust of their people. Thus, we cannot remain indifferent to this situation without also remaining indifferent to our own fate. Traveler, lend us your power, and we can... Oh.
See, milady, it's just like I said. This will...
No, please! Wait! Please, don't go! I will introduce you to the Ryden Shogun on one condition. You must fulfill 3 small wishes on my behalf.
What are your wishes?
They pertain to 3 whose visions were taken from them. Perhaps once you've met them, you will understand.
A warrior who guards a village, a former samurai who helped carry out the Vision Hunt Decree, and a swordmaster determined to become the best in the world. Does Paimon got that right?
Correct. Please do all you can to help them. Then you have my gratitude.
I'm sure you'll do great.
А ты мне помогать не будешь, не? Ну ты падла. Ну ладно. Как тебе, сука, в зеркало посмотреться, а? Я это ты это я. Мы и есть одно целое. Ну пошел. Итак, на чем я там закончил? Ах да, на том, что мне эта ебаная волна выпала. Мона или как ее зовут. Ну просто, ну блять, ну зачем? Почему? За что? Ну, блять, ну где я провинился? Нет, ну может быть кто-то скажет, да ты шо, она ебать, какая охуенная, раскачаешь правильно и будет ебашить. Вы понимаете, я не так сильно на статы хочу смотреть. Мне не нравятся ни ее навыки, мне не нравится ни ее внешний вид. И вообще я ее вообще не хотел, ну ни в какую, она мне в отряд, блять, нахуй не сдалась. Но, как видите, она у меня есть. Ну что мне с этим делать? Что мне с ней делать? Что это, блядь, сука, за колпак бездны? Честно, вот если на нее так посмотреть, это в каком-то плане Мегумин, только, блядь, синего цвета с фиолетовым. Хренов. Ты чё? Чего вы? Что? Вместо спринта у него, блядь, какая-то фигня. Кстати, надо найти воду. Блядь. Извиняйте. Не хочу я слишком долго возиться, поэтому ты получаешь честь получить ульту Том. Где? Да ладно. Издевательство, а? Издевайся надо мной. На! Какая-то хуйня непонятная. На, получай, сука, получай пузырьками, блядь. Хуйня это. Я не знаю, как этим можно сражаться, я не знаю. Пыльца. Так, это моё. Я бы забрал на них. Отстань. О, Линка. Или что это? Да. Прям ты серьезно, ну иди ты нафиг. Угу. Посмейся мне тут, блядь. Побито, избито. Сколько мне еще идти? 200 метров. Листья сапа. Куда они развеются, не понял. Но главное, что не развеются. Да, блядь, лезь! Ты шо? Мы, блядь, собираемся противостоять, блядь, Сёгуну, блядь, а ты не можешь противостоять простому потоку воды. Не, ну ты серьезно? Так. Я здесь уже был? Я мог сюда просто тпхнуться.
Let's see. Where's the person Ayaka told us about?
Why are you doing this? Why leave all of a sudden, after all these years?
Precisely. It's much too sudden. We've had no time to prepare. The children are desperate for you to take them out to play. Please, we urge you to reconsider.
That must be the guy Ayaka told us about. Let's go over and see.
Ah, you must also be... Teijima has protected this place ever since he arrived here 30 years ago. Keeping out the treasure hoarders, fending off any monsters that draw near. But now, all of a sudden, we will gladly apologize if that's the case.
Погоди, у меня рот занят немножко. Я гляжу.
If you want my opinion, something to do with the Vision Hunt decree. It's clear that Teijima had done nothing wrong, and still they confiscated his vision. I can't claim to fully understand it, but I could tell that he'd lost something very important to him. He went off, truth be told, we aren't sure whether trying to keep him here is the right thing.
Seems like he's a well-respected guy around here.
Угу. Короче, мое тебе наставление. Надо было раньше отсюда уходить, а сейчас сиди здесь и никуда не...
You must be
Мудак.
Teijima. So what's made you want to up and leave all of a sudden?
Me? It's not a question of why I want to leave, but a question of what reason I would have to stay. True, but that's not why I chose to stay here. And what made me want to come here 30 years ago? And why have I never wanted to leave in all that time?
Ясно, он сбрендил, он стал философом.
I don't have answers to those questions because I can't remember anymore. Ever since they took my vision away, it's like a slice of my memory is gone. In the past, I knew I wanted to stay here. But whatever resolve I had then, it's gone now.
Так если она все равно останется, зачем тебе
What's to
уходить?
stop me from moving around instead?
Блять, одни
The
гении
emptiness
вокруг.
inside me will be there either way.
Okay. Well, in that case, if we help you rediscover the reason you chose to stay, you won't need to leave anymore, right? But if you can't remember anything, it's not gonna be easy. Oh, maybe if you just try a little harder to remember, then it'll all come
Поведите его,
flooding
блядь, в
back.
подземелье.
Oh, that reminds me. Last time I brought Tejima some fruit, I do believe I saw him writing in a diary.
I keep a diary? If you say so. I honestly can't seem to remember.
Oh, yes, you do. And what's more, I remember you saying at the time that you wanted to make a note of a few interesting things. Things which would prove very important at a later date.
Perfect! So if we want to keep Tejima from leaving, we just need to find his diary. It must be around here somewhere. Let's take a look.
If you don't mind, we will leave you to find the diary. We should head back to the village to inform the others of Tejima's situation.
Нет, твой дом. Пошли искать твою лабуду. Ага, значит вот он бежит.
This looks like Tejima's. Let's see what we. Today, the villagers and I got together to cook dry braised salted fish. Today, I helped rescue a kid who had fallen in the water. After I pulled him out, he told me that his best friend Bamboo was still in the water. I searched the water the whole afternoon before finding out that Bamboo was the name of his pet crab. I went kite flying today. The string broke, so I chased after it as fast as I could. I soon realized I was never going to get it back, so I just found somewhere to... Seems like your average diary of daily village life. Huh? Wait! There's more! I went to pray at the shrine again today and stayed there a while. The Omamori you gave me has faded a little, but it is still my most treasured possession. Now that's the kind of info we're looking for. Time to pay a visit to the shrine.
Так, я сейчас вернусь. Мне надо отлучиться по неотложным делам. Ща буду, минуту. Так, я здесь. Где я застрял? Так, изучить улики. Изучай.
So this is the Omamori Tejima wrote about. Interesting. Looking at the color and the design, Paimon would have thought it belonged to a child.
Может, жене?
But anyway, if he had this with him all the time, there's a chance some of his elemental energy remained on it.
Если она меня сюда уводит. Я что же взял дневник? Что за наебалу?
Here we are. This seems to be somewhere that
Он тут
Tejima
просто
visited a
сидел.
lot.
Тут травы нету. Он ее все выселил.
The soil looks like it's been disturbed. Maybe Tejima buried something precious here. Something that kept him in the village all these years? must be something pretty amazing if it made him stick around for 30 years. Let's dig it up and take a look.
Расхитители могил.
It looks like a letter. The paper's gone yellow. Must have been... Konda Village. Sounds so familiar. Where is that place again? Huh. So the reason Tejima came here was to wait for someone. But he's been here for 30 years. Oh, guess they didn't show up in the end, huh? Well, let's go give Tejima his stuff back and take it from there.
Ну, в принципе, недолго мы с этим провозились.
Well, I'll be. That's certainly my handwriting. And I guess the Omamori and letter belong to me too. But I have no memory of anything that's written in this diary. Still, it's clear that I was waiting for someone here, and that I chose to wait for 30 years. Over the years, I must have made a note of anything interesting. Anything that I could share with her when we were finally reunited. And just look at all the things that did happen over the years. The time has flown by so quickly. 30 years feels like the blink of an eye. How could I have forgotten something so important to me? Now that I think about it, when my vision was taken from me, it felt like I'd suddenly been hollowed out. Love, regret, everything I felt for her, it's all disappeared. No, not especially. After all, I've forgotten who she was. Her face, her voice, the things we experienced
Диалоги
together.
длиннее, чем само задание.
I barely recall any of it. It's as if she'd never been in my life to begin with. As if all these years have been nothing but a hazy dream. I think maybe not. If this is something I waited most of my life for, I suppose I should carry on waiting. Although, what if she were to turn up eventually, only to find I didn't remember so
Зато ты будешь
much
с
as
ней.
her name? Wouldn't that be upsetting for her? When I think about it like that, I do feel a slight tinge of sadness in my heart. How curious. Why am I thinking like this when I don't even remember who she is? It's just like that feeling of emptiness, the feeling that something is missing. Thank you both for helping me reconnect with my reason for staying
Да,
here.
обращайся, конечно. Смотри,
I
мальчик, я
shall
пойду.
remain here and keep waiting for her.
Tejima seems to be dealing okay, but still, it makes Paimon really sad. Seems it's just like Ayaka and Toma were saying. If you lose your vision, you lose all your hopes and dreams too. That certainly explains the state Tejima was in earlier. At least we were able to help him, weren't we?
Наверное.
Well, let's go find the next person.
Что нам еще делать?
According to Miss Kamisato, the second one who lost their vision is a samurai from the time.
Самый рай. Отведет тебя прям в рай. Капец тут заданий. Но я, конечно, выполнять не буду. Почему? Потому что я хочу пройти тупо сюда. Мне после того, как, блядь, моя крутка сорвалась, мне прям плохо. Мне не хочется играть.
They're the ones responsible for maintaining law and order in Inazuma. The ones actually enforcing the Vision Hunt Decree.
Но именно из-за того, сука, что мне интересно, что тут за сюжетик. А тупо посмотреть в ютубе я его не могу, тоже, ну не знаю, блядь, ну что-то не то. Совсем не то. Короче, да, поэтому Я прохожу сам сюжет, а дальше посмотрим.
But why would they take action against one of their own? Paimon doesn't get it. Huh? There seems to be some commotion over there. Let's go see what's happening.
I'll ask one more time. Do you intend to withhold this month's emergency provisions?
The entire clan is counting on that food. We demand an explanation.
How many times do I have to say it? I don't know anything about emergency provisions.
You dare deceive us? Those provisions are essential. Do you understand? Not some goods to be pocketed by greedy samurai.
You samurai think you can just do whatever you please? The Tenryou Commission will hear of this.
Oh, huh? And who are you? One of Kurosawa's
Да,
gang,
я ж так
no
похож,
doubt.
блядь, на здешнего.
We just happened to be passing by. We heard the commotion and came to see what the matter was.
I see. You seem to have come just at the right time. Perhaps you can help us settle this matter. This is Kurosawa. He's a samurai and a member of the Shogun's army. They issue emergency provisions to the area, and he's the one responsible for distribution.
Я
In
глаза
the
закрыл,
past,
блядь.
we'd simply ask him for provisions and everything would be delivered. Now, he suddenly refuses to give us anything. He's keeping the provisions for himself, I just know it. We'll starve without them.
No one seems to care about us. We used to think Kurosawa was a kind man, but he's shown his true colors. He's the same as all the other samurai. It's no wonder all the visions have been confiscated. The Ryden Shogun doesn't need people like him helping her rule the nation.
This must be one of the people Ayaka asked us to help. But why would she ever want us to help someone like him? Maybe we should talk to Kurosawa and see what he has to say.
Надо бы, надо бы. Прошло буквально 5 минут. Вы, сука, забыли, что отобрали глаз Бога, прощайте мечты, надежды, видимо, память тоже.
I've never even heard of these emergency provisions. I don't know whether it's rumors or whether they're trying to blackmail me. But either way, it's ridiculous. If I was hoarding supplies, would I still be the poor man I am today? My own family can barely get by as it is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got other matters to attend to. And that's the first bit of truth I've heard all day. The Shogun's army told me that I was unworthy of my vision. And they said I was slacking off in my work. Apparently, I'd even disappointed the Ryden Shogun. And that's why they confiscated my vision.
Well, that's strange. You were helping enforce the Vision Hunt Decree. Why would you be unworthy of your vision?
To be perfectly honest, I don't seem to remember the details. All I know is that I would perform certain things every month. But I don't recall what they were. And it's not just that. I have this unsettling feeling, like someone owes me something.
Does it have to do with the missing emergency provisions?
I didn't take any. Like I said, if I was taking them for myself, I wouldn't be going through such hard times right now. To top it all off, my house was just raided by treasure hoarders, which is why I came here in the first place. I was chasing after them when I got held up by these two. If you don't believe me, go find the treasure hoarders yourself. If there were any emergency provisions to be had, they would have found them.
Huh. He seems to be telling the truth. But we better confirm. Let's go round up those treasure hoarders and see what they have to say. We should be able to follow their tracks. They couldn't have gone too far.
Япона, мать. Я только по одному кругу понял, что слишком уж огромное что-то. Камон, блядь, как? А, нет, все нормально. Все, теперь поменьше. Теперь я доволен. Теперь пиздить не. Правда, все равно как-то. Это было неожиданно, но приятно.
All those samurai houses packed with goods. We really hit the jackpot. I mean, besides that one house.
You haven't seen anything yet. There'll be a lot more where this came from. Today's just the beginning. I'll be leading you all on an epic journey of pillage and plunder that will go down in hoarder history.
You demand, boss.
These seem like the treasure hoarders we're after. Let's teach them a lesson.
На палку их, на палку. Здрасте. На.
Written in the stars.
Не, ну конечно, если комбинировать с Томой, которого я мейнил последнюю неделю, то в принципе неплохо.
We worked hard to steal that, you know? Come on, boss. Think of something.
Not bad, kid. You ever think of joining the treasure hoarders? We could use someone like you. Kurosawa. Oh, I remember. So he's the one who sent you after us, huh? Just our luck. I knew he shouldn't have hit that place.
So what did you see inside? Was it stuffed with food supplies?
Food supplies? You kidding? That place was a complete mess. All we found was a strange-looking box, hopefully with valuables inside. I didn't want anyone else to see it, so I was planning on opening it myself once we got back. But now that you've caught us, how about we make a deal? That little box for our freedom.
Забирайте на.
What do you say?
You've got a deal. Now show us what's in the box.
Huh?
What the?
There's nothing in here but IOUs.
Yeah, a lot of them too. And they all seem to be made out to the owner of a general goods store, a Miss Aoi. We're talking tons of Mora here. We better talk to this Miss Aoi and get to the bottom of this. As for you guys, you're free to go. Just pray that our paths don't cross
Правильно,
again.
так и, блядь, отчитывай, сука, на гречку.
Yes, of course. So, we redeemed ourselves for some IOUs. Does that mean we broke even?
Shut it. Let's just get out of here.
Не, я бы их все-таки отпиздил. С другой стороны, они ж не меня воруют. Вот оборуют меня, вот тогда поговорим. Ну или если за них кто-то хорошо заплатит, тогда им тоже не жить. Да, блять, лезь ты! Сука. Инвалид. Кицуне. 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 Кицун. Кицунчик. Пойдем. Ну, пойдем. Ну ладно. Сука, где можно получить сеть, чтобы ловить себе питомцев? Я все столько лисичек наворовал. А где это Аой? Кто знает? Кто в курсе? Я не помню, чтобы я с ним вообще разговаривал. Кто такая Аой? Торговка всякой всячины? Едой, может? Скорее всего, едой. Отвечаю, едой. Копью. Фу, блядь, новичка? Серая? Чё не легендарка? Здесь... Чё это? Кубок везунчика. Кубок везунчика, а мне не повезло. Ау. Здрасте.
Welcome to Tsukumomono Groceries. We've got everything you need. Can I help you find something? Or perhaps there's... Ah, so you're friends of Kurosawa, I take it?
Нет.
Perhaps you're here to pay off his debts.
Нет.
Whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Боже, я тебя понимаю, я сука реакцию. Я также бы сказал.
End up owing you so much money. Did he buy anything super expensive here?
Let me think. Kurosawa would come regularly to purchase large quantities of foodstuffs. He'd always put the payment on his own account. However, the price of provisions began to skyrocket recently, and his salary was no longer enough to cover the cost. So, he started writing out IOUs to cover whatever he couldn't afford of the usual amount.
So that's how he was getting those emergency provisions. But why did he have to purchase a usual amount? If the prices increased, couldn't he just buy less?
Ну сейчас такая, я не
Well,
знаю.
if you think about it, the citizens receiving the emergency provisions must have been carefully calculating how much they needed to sustain them each time. Kurosawa thought that it would be quite the disappointment for them if they found they didn't have enough, especially after such long and careful planning.
Ну,
So he deemed it necessary to take on the debt rather than let the people down.
Wow. Kurosawa was purchasing all the emergency provisions at his own expense. And no one ever appreciated what he did. They just complained and held him accountable.
People's attitudes will always reflect their circumstances. In the face of hardship, nobody cares to think twice. If you ask me, had Kurosawa told everyone the truth about the supplies from the start, then there wouldn't be such a severe backlash now. Of course, I'm sure there would still have been some unrest. What he was doing was truly a thankless deed. As for why he chose to spend his own money on emergency provisions and never tell anyone, I'm still not too clear myself. If you're still curious, why don't you go ask him yourself? I see. That reminds me, it seems that his vision was recently confiscated. Most unfortunate. If he doesn't clear the debt on his name, he'll have no choice but to sell that sword that is so dear to him.
Sword? What sword?
Oh, didn't he tell you? He possesses a very valuable blade. He's carried it for years now. I've asked him about its origins. He told me that it was a gift from his father, that it was too precious to sell.
Отдаю
In
пайму,
hindsight,
забираю меч.
I regret
Всё,
that I
зашибись.
never made an offer on it. Everything has its price, at least that's what I think. Why don't you ask him about the sword yourself? Perhaps it'll even provide you with the answers you're looking for. Oh, but before you go,
В
if you
смысле,
would
блядь?
kindly settle today's bill.
But we didn't buy anything.
Information is also a
Ах
kind of
ты,
commodity, wouldn't you agree? Don't worry, I won't charge much for information about Kurosawa. Nothing we ever discussed was explicitly.
At least we now know where the emergency provisions are coming from. Plus, we found out that Kurosawa has a priceless sword in his possession. Let's go talk to Kurosawa again and see if he can remember anything.
Да. Однако мне все равно не ясно, почему у него глаз отобрали, блядь. Типа хороший чувак, за свои деньги покупал людям, блядь, рационы. Люди из этого не бунтовали. Чего у него отбирать глаз бога, все равно не пойму. А, блядь, какой готовить?
What are you doing here all by yourself? Where did those other two go?
I presented them with a choice. Either they left or I drew my sword. They left. It turned out to be a real time saver, actually. Perhaps I should start using it more often. Did you manage to track down the treasure hoarders? Everything.
That just about sums it up. It turns out that you really were distributing emergency provisions, but they were all purchased at your own expense.
Strange. Is that really the kind of person I was? I don't really have any such recollection. Even after all you've told me, I still don't
У нас есть
remember anything.
доказательства, поэтому все.
Why was I purchasing emergency provisions for everyone? And why would I put myself in such a difficult situation? I really don't understand. But I cannot deny that when I brandished my sword to scare those two away, I could sense that my body was somehow reluctant. This sword was once wielded by my father. I remember once when I was young, I wanted to sneak out with the blade and show it off to the kids next door. My father ended up catching me in the act and scolded me severely. What did he say? I can't seem to remember that either. It would seem that I forgot many important things when my vision was taken from me. So many memories gone. Forever. No matter how hard I try to remember, all I can remember now is my father telling me that this blade bore his life's creed. Before he passed away, he placed the sword in my hands and said to me, with this sword, you
С этим
should...
мечом ты должен побороть зло. Или...
Hey, if you look carefully, there seems to be some words engraved on the hilt. Can you
Ебать
recognize
ты
the words?
зоркая.
Virtue and justice? Somehow those two words seem to explain everything now. Taking on seemingly endless debts to make others happy. I guess that must have been my greatest ambition after all. But what use are virtue and justice? I purchased the provisions for those in need. And look how things ended up. The Tenryo Commission seized my vision. And the very people I was so desperately trying to help refused to
Давай мы просто им все
understand me.
расскажем, а?
And the irony of all of it is, I somehow still felt sorry when threatening them with my blade. I'm incapable of being a good person, yet I'm equally unable to be bad. I don't know what to do with myself.
Yet another troubled soul. When we get the chance, let's speak to Toma about Kurosawa's debt. The Yashiro Commission would surely help cover his expenses.
Ну давай.
In any case, we must never let him sell off that sword. Yeah, seems like losing all ambition is a terrible experience. Fortunately for us, you don't have a vision.
О, это
Let's go
да.
find the next poor soul.
У меня моих 2 глаза, мне их хватает, зашибись. Ну шо, остался последний. И тогда я предстану перед той самой Райден. Надеюсь. Я не хочу, чтобы меня так же самое очень долго водили по Лиюэ, блять. В поисках хуй знает чего.
The third person who had their vision taken is supposed to be a famous sword master around these parts. Paimon heard that he's the present-day master of Meikyo Shisui art. Sounds pretty impressive. This is his dojo. Luckily, there's some people around. Let's go talk to them.
Nanako, don't worry. Sensei will be fine. Those thugs that challenged the dojo were strong, but he fought them all off in the end, didn't he?
Maybe, but I'm still worried about him. Things have gotten dangerous before in the past, but it's never shaken him. This time, though...
It's just because he's been possessed, that's all. Once the exorcism has taken place, he'll be right as rain in no time.
Да, да, да.
Hey there! Did something happen?
Who are you?
Мы волшебники, не видно?
Don't
Понял,
care whether
летающая
you're
консервность.
trespassers or just here to harass us while Sensei is impaired. Get out of here immediately!
Чуешь ты,
Make me
блядь?
draw my blade,
За
or you
языком
won't
следи,
live
я
to
тебе сейчас
regret it.
пижу.
No, you got it so wrong. We just came here to,
Disciples?
Yep. We've heard all about the mighty master of Meikyo Shisui art. It's the whole reason we came all this way, to seek him out and ask him to train us. But then we got here and overheard you talking about how he got possessed or something?
From the way you're dressed, it doesn't look like
Да
you're from
ладно.
around here. Please, accept my apologies. We've had so many people trying to cause us trouble recently that we're on high alert. You haven't arrived at the best of times, I'm afraid. Sensei got possessed recently, and he's still recovering. He's not able to take on any new disciples for the time being. I see you are earnest in your pursuit. Okay, how about this? My fellow disciple Nanako and I will explain Sensei's situation to you in a little more detail. Then you can decide whether to stay or to leave. Sensei's name is Domon. A name I'm sure you've already heard.
Честно, впервые слышу. Но спасибо.
Though self-taught, he mastered the art of the sword to a high level. He then proceeded to defeat many other prominent sword masters, never losing a single fight. He once said that his goal was to become the best sword master in the world. And so, even while training us, he continued to hone his own art. His fervor truly inspired us, and we trained hard, determined to keep up with him. But then...
Not long ago, Sensei had his vision taken away. He hasn't been the same since. He says the strangest things over and over, and he refuses to let us train. Junya and I have discussed it, and we both think that he's been possessed by an evil spirit. So, we've asked the shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine to perform an exorcism. But if I'm honest, I still have my doubts over whether he'll completely recover.
The Grand Narukami Shrine? What's that?
You haven't heard of it? It's the largest shrine on Narukami Island. The head shrine maiden is reputed to have very close ties with the almighty Shogun herself. Not that we'd have any means of involving the head shrine maiden, of course. But even one of the ordinary shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine would have clear power and authority to perform an exorcism.
Она меня научит, не?
So don't worry, Nanako. Sensei is going to be just fine. The exorcism will take place this evening. You're both more than welcome to come and watch if you're interested.
So, losing your vision can cause possession? Guess we should come back this evening and see for ourselves.
Чё там, когда можно? А, все. Зашибись.
So you decided to come. It's a good thing you didn't arrive any earlier. You would have had just now, when Nanako was attending to him. She heard him whisper when she asked him who the people were. He suddenly looked panic-stricken and pushed her away. It looked like he was in great distress. He was covering his ears and looking frantically around him with bloodshot eyes. All the while he kept calling those names. Some of them we knew, others we didn't recognize. But they all seemed to be the names of sword masters he had defeated in the past. One of them was Anzai. He used to be a fellow disciple of Sensei's. His senior, in fact. But Sensei defeated him in a duel many years ago. And he has been a wanderer ever since. Sensei wouldn't stop calling his name. Thankfully, the shrine maidens managed to subdue him. So the exorcism can finally continue.
Показывать нам его не
The ritual
собираюсь.
has now begun. All we can do is patiently await the result. Here's hoping Sensei will be back to his normal self very soon. Please, excuse me for a moment while I fetch some water. If he wakes up, he is sure to be thirsty.
Да, ты иди, а я зайду внутрь. Шо? Да ты шо? Стоять. Стой, блядь. Я знаю, кто ты, я знаю, где ты живешь.
Who's that sneaking around? Uh-oh. Could they be here to mess up the exorcism? We won't let them get away with it. Come on, let's go after them.
Стой.
Seems they aren't here. Should we keep going further up?
Я знаю, сука, кто это. Тот, который был первым.
Definitely the
Первый
right
пришел за
place.
третьим. Листаю.
Let's look a little further up. Aha! Suspicious person.
Попался.
How did you catch up with me
Да
so
что ты самый,
quickly?
блядь?
Are you sure you're Domon's disciples? You move even quicker
Блин,
than
по
he
виду тоже, что и
does.
первый чувак, который все
Unless,
забыл, блядь.
I guess it's been a few years. Maybe his skills have improved again.
Или, блядь, просто у разработчиков кончились модельки. Чушо.
We're the ones asking the questions here. First off, who are you? And what are you doing sneaking around these parts? You like bad news, mister!
Bad news? I'll have you know I trained side by side with Domon back in the day, long before you ever showed up. I don't care to talk about that time anymore. But if you must know, I am Domon's senior.
Так ты у нас дед.
His senior? Wait, that means you must be...
Anzai? Yes, that's me. Because I don't wish to see Domon or anyone else associated with him ever again.
Да зачем ты
When we
вернулся?
were young, we trained under the same sword master, studying Make-Yoshi Sui art together. I had begun training 5 years before him, and everyone looked up to me as a steady and dependable older disciple. Practitioners of Make-Yoshi Sui art seek to achieve stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. So the majority of disciples are indifferent to rank and reward. I was no exception. But Domon was different. The first thing he did when he joined was go straight to our sensei and ask him, with a beaming smile on his face, how to become the best in the world. Sensei scolded him and told him that the art of the sword should not be used for such vain ends. Sensei said that coveting the title of the best sword master, barely days into his training, showed that he had a fickle mind, and that this would impede him from ever mastering the blade. I thought so too at the time, but Domon began making swift progress in his training and even started catching up with me. Only then did I realize that it was Domon who had long since freed his mind from all agitation. He was consumed by his singular desire to become the best in the world. He sought nothing less than perfection in the art of the sword, and nothing could deter him from this goal, no matter what stood in his way.
Sure sounds like he meant business. So how come you don't want to ever see him again?
Because until he arrived, I was convinced that I would succeed our sensei as the master of Make-Yoshi Sui art. Of all the disciples, I was the most gifted. I had trained the longest. Everyone had high expectations
Ты что
for me.
завидуешь?
Domon's arrival changed everything. When we sparred, I lost not just the match, but my pride and my status too. I fled the dojo that day and never looked back. Later, I heard that he sparred with Sensei too. Sensei was advanced in years by then, and unfortunately that match used up every last ounce of energy in his body. After that, I wanted nothing further to do with him. Deep down, though, I still respected his mastery of the blade and his commitment to the art of the sword. So, when I heard rumors that he had lost his mind, my first reaction was to dismiss them as false. How could he, of all people, have lost his mind? His mind was the sharpest of them all. He had practiced Make-Yoshi Sui art to perfection. I decided to quietly come and see if it were true. Then, to my complete astonishment, I heard him call my name. I thought mine was a name he had long since forgotten. So you see, I came here not to cause him any harm. I just wanted to see for myself.
Какой долгий разговор, блядь.
Okay, you've heard my story. You should get back now. The exorcism is probably finishing.
Всё уродно.
Seems like we got it wrong this time. He wasn't here to mess up the exorcism at
Мы?
all.
Это ты, сука.
Still, Paimon's not sure we should bring him back with us. Let's go see how the exorcism's coming along.
Ладно. У меня голова кипит.
What? You're saying he isn't possessed? Does that mean he's just lost his mind? But how is that possible? No, I refuse to believe it. Something's clearly wrong.
Nanako, please, try not to get agitated.
I am sorry. With what powers I have, I can find no sign of any malignant spirit having possessed Domon. But spirits may take a myriad of forms in this world, many of which I cannot claim to have witnessed myself. Thus, I dare not rule out
Фу, блядь.
possession with
Позовите высшую
complete
жрицу.
certainty.
Быстро,
And
блядь.
all is certainly not lost, for I received word not long ago that Lady Yai has taken an
ладно.
interest in your sensei's
Я-
case.
Лиса.
Lady Yai? Is that the same Lady Yai that
Да,
I
это
think you mean?
она.
The head shrine maiden of the Grand Narukami Shrine? That's wonderful news.
Давай.
Then Sensei will be sure to recover.
Быстрее, лисица, появись
Lady
передо
Yai
мной.
is most
Я этот
knowledgeable
экзорцизм
indeed,
хуй
and
пропущу.
has abundant experience in the exorcism of evil spirits and aversion of great calamities. I am unable to say for certain whether an evil spirit has possessed your sensei, but Lady Yai can give a conclusive verdict.
Excuse me, Miss Inagi, but I must ask, should we
Я
give
ее
her a
дар.
greeting gift for
Отдайте
Lady
ее.
Yai?
Меняй
That won't be
ей.
necessary. All that is required of you is your timely arrival at the Grand Narukami Shrine. Lady Yai does
Не
not
любит
like
ждать?
to be kept
Похуй.
waiting.
Вперед.
I must leave now, but we will meet soon at the shrine. I wish Domon a full and speedy recovery.
Ой, быстрее, блядь.
Who'd have thought Lady Yai herself would have taken notice of our sensei's case?
Do you mean to say that Sensei isn't renowned enough to deserve Lady
Да
Yai's
вообще, я этого
attention?
Дамона знать не знаю. Вот Лису хорошо
That's not what I
знаю.
meant at all. You misunderstand me. I just
Пофиг,
mean this is
пропускай.
Lady Yai, the head shrine maiden. She has direct and close contact. Anyway, you should join us too tomorrow. Given
Да,
that
да,
you've
да.
traveled all this way just to meet our sensei, we.
Sure. After all, who knows? Maybe we'll be able.
Пойдем, пойдем. Внимание, внимание. Серия продолжится. Ну, хуй знает сколько времени. Скажите спасибо лисичке. Если б не она, я думаю, я бы уже бы закончил. А так нет, это так хрен, да, так продолжаем. Наконец-то это она. Путите меня к лисе. О, как ней. Ну чё, так долго ждал?
Do you think that's Lady Yai? Oh, no wonder Junior was so excited. She has a really striking presence.
Она смотрит только на меня.
Also, is it just Paimon? Or did she
Конечно.
look right at us just now?
На кого еще?
It was probably nothing. It's not like she's ever seen us before.
Keep away. Keep away from me. I gave up the art of the sword. Please, let me go, I beg you.
As you can see, Lady Yai, Domon has persisted in this state for some time now. He appears to see those who have lost to him in duels past, gathered all around him to persecute him.
Lady Yai, it must be a possession, right? This is nothing like him at all. In the past, no matter what came his way, he would always face it with a confident smile.
Цыц, блядь.
I'm sorry. It is clear to me that your sensei is not possessed by any evil spirit.
Then does that mean he...
Yes. This is a change in the person himself. Unable to cope with the tremendous pressure he was under, he suffered a spiritual collapse. With his wits impaired, he finally descended into madness. As one who is thrown into the sea, though he fights back desperately against his predicament, it does nothing to prevent his descent into the depths. As for what has triggered this change, I believe it must be the loss of
Да
his
ладно.
vision.
Все, блядь.
For to be stripped
Просто
of one's
лучшая.
vision is to be
Похлопаемся
stripped of
вместе.
one's ambition.
Stripped of his ambition? But Lady Yai, even without his ambition, why should he suffer such a dramatic change? How does that explain his descent into madness?
Your school practices Meikyo Shisui art, does it not? Stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. What a fine notion that would be if any in this world could ever hope to achieve it. There was once one who claimed to be indifferent to rank and reward, and who fled enraged when defeated by his junior. And then there was an aged swordmaster who was aggrieved enough that he crossed blades with a disciple he himself had taught.
Then, what of the one who crossed blades with his own sensei and beloved fellow disciple, and defeated them both? Can one truly remain unagitated, of still mind in moments such as these?
Lady, I'm not sure I understand.
The path of the sword master is filled with twists and turns. It is no small undertaking to pursue the position of greatest sword master in the world. It requires one to take their sword firmly in both hands and cut down the hopes and dreams of others, even those of one's closest companions. Only a deep commitment to his ambition to become the best made it possible for him to rise above the pain of these encounters, to focus on the way ahead. When that ambition disappeared, he began to doubt himself. As he battled his growing anxiety, he slowly descended into the state you see him in now. Much like a certain fatally flawed friend of mine.
А это она сейчас про Сёгуна, да?
To think he's been suffering so greatly.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Father, Sensei, Onsai.
That's enough.
Huh? Isn't that Onsai?
А хули ты из храма вышел,
From... Did he follow us the whole way here?
Onsai, why are there two of you? Is that you or a ghost? You're here for revenge, aren't you? I knew it would come.
Ну хоть трястись перестал.
You're right to assume that my feelings towards you are far from kindly. But I didn't come here to settle a score. It's been so long now that I made peace with it years ago. You did nothing wrong that day. I couldn't face the
Только один вопрос,
humiliation.
почему, сука, они все седые?
That's why I ran.
Тот седой,
I don't think
и
most
этот
of the
седой.
people you
И
beat
до этого
along
тоже
the way
седой
would
был.
hold it against you.
Сука, лишили глаза Бога, и ты сразу становишься
Cut our
седым?
ambition short.
Хотя у этого
We
не было
entrusted them
глаза.
to you, in the hopes that they
Может,
might
у него
carry
шоколадный
you
забрали.
further. Now I know that we can't place our hopes in you any longer, since you've been stripped of your ambitions too. But that is no reason to strip them of theirs. Follow the way of the sword all the way to the highest peak. You taught them that, didn't you?
But what if one day the same thing happens to them? I put everything I had into trying to become the best. But what if it was all a huge mistake right from the start?
Лисичка, лисичка.
If there's a chance they'll end up like me one day, I'd rather they stay where they are now than go any further down this path.
Have you asked them what they think?
Sensei, after you
Ладно,
rescued
пропустим эти, блядь, сопливые нежности. Я увидел лису, мне хватит. Пока не говорит лиса, либо Пайман, либо я. Меня это не интересует. Верните лису на главный план.
You can place the ambition you once had in there. Being stripped of your ambition is something that's never happened to me, so I can't claim to understand it. But I do know what it feels. So, just as I once placed my ambitions onto you, you are not in the same position that I was. When I left, I had nothing to my name.
I understand. I'm sorry to have made you worry for me, and for the state of Miyakyoshi. I no longer have the resolve to become the best in the world. The emptiness and suffering, but as
Ладно, все.
This is my promise. And I humbly ask...
You can count on that. I'd be checking in on you occasionally anyway, just to make sure you hadn't... But I am now used to the life of a wanderer. I do not belong in the dojo anymore. Well, don't just stand there staring at me. Say thank you to Lady Yai and...
На колени, сударь. Сука. Даже не поклонился.
So even though his ambition was taken away, his disciples can take it over on his behalf. Guess that's...
Traveler, a moment, please. Lady Yai has some words
А
for
это мне
you.
нравится.
So, my intuition was correct.
Да.
The wind that blows from afar carries fresh life to these shores. For us to meet now is premature. Nevertheless, you set foot on these islands at precisely the right moment.
Покажи хвост, а? Покажи хвост. Пользуйся.
I have high hopes for you, child. Don't disappoint me.
Ooh, Lady Ai seems to have taken a real interest in you. She seems super mysterious. Paimon's so curious what she really meant by all that.
Действительно, что же она подразумевала? Я-то знаю, но фантазия берет верх.
For now, we should go report back to Miss Kamisato.
Чи закончить, чи продолжить. Давай продолжим. Просто хочу продолжить чуть-чуть. Хочу буквально чуть-чуть. Какая-то фигня, ну ладно. И это... И чё это? Так что я получил? Блять, во что я вляпался? Куда привязать? О. На. Все? Надеюсь. Мне уже одна неудача выпала, блять. Хватит. Пойдем. Я хочу встретиться с Сёганом в этой серии. Что, сука, до завтра я уже не выдержу. А ее нету. Сейчас Тома придет и скажет, что я спиздили. Здорово. Здрасте. Я тебя знаю. Вроде.
Traveler, Paimon. It is a pleasure to finally meet you both face to face. I have heard all about how you helped our three friends. My sincerest thanks to you.
Yeah. Short of getting them their visions back, it seems like there's no way to really help them. Ayaka, how come this time you get to come out and meet us in person?
Потому что я за нее болт направила.
Because now that you have done the three things I asked of you, I consider you to be my friends. As you will observe, I dispense with the screen for Toma also.
Понятно.
Wait a second. But isn't Toma your, servant? Paimon's happy to help and all, but Paimon sure as heck did not sign up to be a servant.
Oh. Paimon, you are most entertaining. Toma is first and foremost my friend, and was so before he ever became my attendant.
Oh. Okay then. Ayaka, you seem pretty different out in the open compared to how you are behind the screen.
Thank you both kindly. Back to the matter at hand. You have now witnessed the pain of those deprived of their visions. what are your feelings on what you have seen? Perhaps in the eyes of a deity such as the almighty Shogun, the lives of those who inhabit the world are inconsequential. Thunders roar, lightnings flash, the winds assault, and the rains descent. All these things take place with no regard for the feelings of the common people. But I believe that surely you understand what they must endure. It seems that perhaps now you can appreciate my feelings on all of this. In which case, perhaps you would be willing to reconsider your stance? You will? Really? Naturally.
All right, bravo, my lady. You were right all along.
See? I told you he wouldn't reject them. I'd place my trust in the right person after all.
Да.
Now then, given that the remainder of our discussion pertains to matters of a more confidential nature, perhaps we could move to the Komori tea house?
Спасибо, хоть самому идти не пришлось.
Well, here we are again.
Please continue without me. I'll keep watch.
Давай, быстрее. Быстрее.
So, what's the deal with this place anyway? What makes it your favorite meeting spot?
This is land that was gifted to the Yashiro Commission by the Shogun. The Kamisato clan has the exclusive right to plan, build, and repair any property on this land, and even to allow or deny access. Such privileges exist due to the Yashiro Commission's role in managing ceremonial affairs. Oftentimes, it is not appropriate to discuss details in front of bystanders.
Oh, Paimon gets it! Gotta keep a bit of mystery, right?
Once the number of ceremonial affairs conducted in the city began to decline, our forebears built a tea house here. Only members of the Yashiro Commission are permitted to come and go as they please.
Makes sense. Perfect place for a secret base.
In any case, we can talk freely here. I presume you have a few questions
Столько
that you wish to
вопросов,
ask
блядь,
me?
зашибись. Когда ты отведешь меня к этой Сёгун?
The almighty Shogun. I've seen her on, but only she inspires awe, commands respect, and exudes a... It was her almost complete lack of any emotion. In that sense, she appeared to me to be
Ну
less...
понятно, одержимость. Одержимость.
The
Всё.
issue is this.
Пизда.
For the vast majority of people, the Vision Hunt Decree is something that has no implications whatsoever. After all, it is but a tiny minority of people who receive visions.
Ну понятно.
Moral, because of this, the attitude of most people towards the
Всем
Vision Hunt
пофиг.
Decree...
How can they be like that? Paimon's getting mad.
Nevertheless, in addition to us, there is also the resistance on Watatsumi Island.
Resistance? You mean like an army fighting against the decree?
Yes. Many who have lost or fear losing their visions have rallied together under Sangonomiya on Watatsumi Island to form a resistance group. To say a little more about Sangonomiya, historically, there has always been some conflict between them and the shogunate of Narukami Island due to their different belief systems. But I do wonder whether there may be some other agenda behind their resistance movement.
Они хотят сами стать богом,
the Vision
отвечай.
Hunt Decree.
Ну ладно, это уже слишком много фантазий.
Of course. We have tried on numerous occasions. Unfortunately, each time a proposal to repeal the decree arrives at Tenshukaku, it is promptly vetoed by both the Tenryou Commission and the Kanjo Commission, and subsequently scrapped. They invariably adopt a stance of unconditional support for the Shogun's decision.
Черти, блядь!
There's no interest in discussing
Акционеры
anything.
ебаные.
It almost makes one wonder whether they had a hand in the Shogun's sudden decision to issue the Vision Hunt Decree.
Ooh, Paimon has a question though.
Oh? What would you like to know, Paimon?
Какая еда
Got a
тут
plan
есть?
yet to fight the Vision Hunt Decree?
Ладно, это слишком умный вопрос для Паймон.
To be honest, we do not.
What?
Please, do not forget that challenging the Vision Hunt Decree is tantamount to challenging a deity. Coming to...
So what are we gonna do?
Well, for the moment, all we can do is try and reduce the harm that is being caused by this decree. For example, by providing vision bearers with safe refuge, or manufacturing counterfeit visions for them as a contingency measure.
You're telling Paimon that there are people out there who can make fake visions?
Светящийся гриб.
Don't underestimate the talents of the craftspeople of Hanamizaka. To the naked eye, their counterfeits are indistinguishable from the genuine article. The problem we are facing right now is that Master Masakatsu, who was providing us with counterfeit visions, has recently been arrested by the Tenryou Commission.
Darn! So they found out about it?
Конечно. 10 штук таких, блин. Забрали такие. Бля, ну что-то не то.
And that it was only a matter of time before it would be exposed. But we cannot simply abandon Master Masakatsu. Exactly. I feel the same way. But given mine and Toma's identities as part of the Yashiro Commission, breaking him out of prison would risk dragging down the reputation of the entire Kamisato clan should we be caught. That By no means do we intend to place the burden of such a task on your shoulders alone. When you are ready, go to Hanamizaka and look for a fireworks shop run by the Naganohara family. There, you will find someone who can help you.
Ома море, доброта и еще какая-то. Да, даже 35 раз не было. С помощью сети все вездесущности. Как это? Где мне взять ту сетку? Понятно. Понятно. Непонятно. Что еще я не забрал? Давай. О, рыбалка. Ясно. Понятно. Итак, у меня та-та-та-там на 2 молитвы максимум. Бесполезно. Абсолютно. Вот у меня здесь сколько? В простых призывах у меня сколько? Раз страница. Сейчас, погоди. До конца надо домотать. Так, давай так. 6 страниц по раз, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Это 36. 39 молитв у меня только в стандартных. Раз, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. На 81 молитва нужна. Сука. Как мне это сделать, блядь, ну как? Понимаю. Слишком сложно. Короче, буду просто закапливать эти переплетающиеся судьбы. Ну их в рот. И вообще, если так подумать, вот, у меня просто была идея это посчитать. А какого хуя оно тут дороже на 200 гривен? Ладно, пофиг, не сейчас. Чисто если так подумать, если 2 недельки чуть-чуть подкладывать от зарплаты, это поскольку, ну, грубо говоря, по 1250 с каждой недели зарплаты откладывать, то как раз таки за 2 дня до конца баннера можно вот эту хуйню купить, под двойным бонусом от первой покупки получить в 2 раза больше, и это хватит ровно на 81 прокрутку. Ну, конечно же, я еще не настолько отчаялся в том плане, что мне еще хватает головы на то, чтобы не донатить такие большие суммы в игры. То есть закинуть 50 гривен в игру я могу, 130 могу. Но, сука, 2600 это такая сумма, которую мне мало того, что, сука, жалко ради одного персонажа. Мне просто не хочется столько закидывать, поэтому ну его нахуй. Не получу ли суммы, хрен с ним. Я вот, сука, на последние дни баннера я посмотрю, сколько я накопил. Если я хотя бы 40 набью, хотя вряд ли я набью, потому что мне будет уже неинтересно играть, потому что... Ну, бля, мне выпала самая хуйнейшая хуйня из всех возможных. Вот, честно вам скажу свое мнение, мне выпала Мона. Тот персонаж, который мне, ну, нахуй не сдался. У меня после этого такая просто дизмораль пошла по игре. что просто я ее получил после призыва. Я понял, что я получил хуйню. Ну, в моем мнении, в моем понимании. Я закрываю Геншин. И, сука, в 8 вечера, буквально через час после того, как я пришел с работы. Или не, погоди. Ну, в принципе, можно сказать, что через час. У меня был короткий день на самом деле. И, блядь, я просто пошел спать, расстроенный, блядь, со словами, ну ёб вашу мать, ну почему именно она? Почему? Ну, сука. Вот если глянуть по архиву персонажей, где они? А, галерея. По умолчанию... Я не знаю. Короче, у меня была возможность получить кого? Где не только все, где не только все. Вот, у меня была возможность получить Кицин. Получив хотя бы ее, я бы уже, сука, не так бы расстроился. Мог получить Делюка. Вообще зашибись. Он, в принципе, персонаж хороший, и то, что я на нем пару пробных заданиях прошел, он мне в каком-то плане мне понравился. По крайней мере, навыки. У меня была возможность получить кого? Джин. Тоже ничего так, чё бы нет. Я, правда, не знаю, какие у нее навыки, но, блядь, не знаю. Мне просто к ней как-то положительно отношусь. И последнее, кого я мог получить из 5-звездочных, это где она только... Я в этой хуйне ни разу не был, поэтому я не знаю. Где она? Вот, Цици. Я в душе не бушу, кем она является. Саппортом, дамагером или кем-то еще. Но, не знаю, я бы был гораздо больше рад получить ее, чем вот это. Я не хочется. В отряде с 21 февраля. Сегодня у нас... Да, сегодня у нас 24... Это телефон. Сегодня у нас 24. Зашибись. Ну я так прям, сука, рад, счастливый, что я получил вот это вместо вот этого. Вот, ну, блять, ну за что? Ну за что? Ладно. На этом все. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Так сказать, всем спасибо и всем пока. Просто вот. Всем пока. Я думаю, завтра приду, 25 числа после работы. Пойдем дальше по этим чертовым заданиям. И будем проходить сюжет. Как только я пройду сюжет, я надеюсь, мне будет доступна вот эта вот фигня. Не знаю, сколько тут можно получить камней истока. Не знаю, что это за корона прозрения. Либо еще какая-то из этих... Ну ладно, мора. Так и быть, мора. Может быть еще полезно. И как я видел... Ну, может быть шутка или нет, но то, что некоторые проходят это событие за 3 часа полностью. Ну, скорее всего, это какие-то задроты, которые все знают, но я не такой. И все-таки. Это меня как бы обделяет надеждой, что ли. Так, гриб филонему мне надо. И вот это. Я ее ненавижу, но она, сука, 5-звездочка. Поэтому я ее буду качать на максимум, который мне только доступен. А там посмотрю. По крайней мере, я хочу сделать из нее что-то полезное. Если кто-то знает, как ее собирать, тоже. Я не хочу лазить там по сайтам, по прочей хуйне, чтобы искать, как ее собирать. Просто, что я понял, это то, что ей надо не силу атаки, ей надо мастерство стихий качать. Поэтому мастерство стихий, там, скорость получения энергии. Вот это. И через скорость восстановления энергии. Это ей надо. Поэтому пока что я не знаю. Пока что можете написать, что ей лучше набирать, там, мастерство стихии или урон, какие там сеты уже всего искать, там, не знаю. Я, конечно, вот этой всей не разбираюсь, но, кстати, по названию хотя бы сета скажите, может быть, я хотя бы пойму, что мне надо для нее фармить. Потому что, по сути, я ее поставил вместо вот этого чуда. И, по сути, он мне хотя бы нравился, он мог хилить своих. Но, да, я его поменял. Просто взял и поменял. Просто взял, сука, резко и поменял. Эх, ладно. Ну что ж, на этом все. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Всем удачи, всем пока. И до новых встреч. Хули запись не прекратилась. Погоди.